Welcome back everyone. You have landed once again on the channel of the Ebb Fats, and we are again talking about Championship Manager 2001-2002, the game that transcends generations and continues to be a well played and well known game worldwide. As you can see from my starting screen, we are playing it today on the starter kit. A fantastic piece of work from a guy called John Betts. It's available from the Champman forums, Champman0102.net, and also from John's personal GitHub page. If you do a web search for John Betts starter kit, you will find that page and can download from either. Today we will be looking once again at finances and training facilities, a whole series that we've been doing. We are today on to Serie B in Italy, and we'll be looking at the potential challenges that you may be able to take on if you were to take on a side in that division. Before we start, please do subscribe to the channel for more videos. Like this video if you enjoy what you see. Share with people you know, and once again always do comment on the videos. Let us know what you think of them, and if there's any other videos that you may want to see recorded for you. But today, as we say, we are looking at Serie B on the 3.9.60 version, the original database of the game. And here is that division. So we'll be looking at each club as we go through. We'll be looking at their stadium capacities, their training facilities, and their finances. What you will see as we click on that first club, which is Ancona, and go to the general info tab, you will see there just listed under training ground. So that lists the training ground and youth facilities and tells you how good they are. So as you see from Ancona, they are listed as good, and that's what you would have seen in the original database. It would be listed as needs investment, good, adequate, excellent, stuff like that. What you'll see with this miscellaneous patch from the John Betts starter kit is a numerical figure. So that will tell you out of 20, like most of the attributes originally in the game, how good those facilities are. So you can see here that 10 is good, 16 anywhere up to 19 is listed as excellent, stuff like that. So in the original game everything would have been listed as either good or excellent, but this way round you can see with the numerical figure just how good. Are they a 16 excellent or are they a 19 excellent? It'll make sense as we go through. As I say, this is a innovation from the starter kit, so if you want to have that, do visit the forum or John's page and download. Super simple to do. So we'll start with Ancona today, and we will see that their stadium name is the Del Conero in the town of Ancona. It's an all-seater stadium, which is good for Serie B. 18,323 seats, and the training ground, as we've mentioned, listed as good, and that's 10 out of 20. Finance wise, a bit of a challenge to start. There's money in the bank, £793,000, but none of that initially is available to you to spend. We'll move on to the second team, Bari. Well-known club in the second tier as the game starts. The San Nicola is the stadium, 58,270. That's an all-seater stadium with undersoil heating, and a training ground, as we've mentioned, listed as excellent, 16 out of 20. So Bari would be one of the ones looking to make their way out of Serie B at the start of the game with those facilities. Also helped by the finances, just under £5.9 million in the bank, and £4.5 million of that is afforded to the manager to spend. Cagliari, aside from the island. The stadium is called Sant'Elia. The facilities wise, 40,195 can fit in the stadium, but most of that is terracing. Just 17,000 is seated. The training ground listed as adequate, and that is 13 out of 20. Finance wise, 2.8 million in the bank and 2 million of that available to spend. Could that be a challenge you could take up? One of the smaller sides, Cittadella Padova. So we find them, and their stadium is Eugenio in the town of Padova. Facilities wise, an all-seater stadium, that's good. 27,900 can fit in, so that's a decent amount. Training ground though, listed as good, but just 8 out of 10. So we know there's a bit of work needed to get that, if you were to take on this challenge, up to a level that you could sustain decent players and players improving as you grow. Finance wise, if you wanted to upgrade that training ground, might not happen straight away. £953,000 in the bank and transfer funds of £170,000. Como, another one of those small clubs that are kind of up and down. I've been in the top flight recently. The stadium name is the Giuseppe Sinigalia and is a 15,000 all-seater stadium. Training ground though needs a bit of work again. Adequate is the listing, and that's 7 out of 20. Another club that have a little bit in the bank, 644,000 in there, but none of that is available to the manager as the game starts. Cosenza. They play at the San Vito, 19,200 all-seater stadium, and again adequate, 8 out of 20 for the training ground. If you wanted to take on Cosenza, very little over £1 million in the bank, and the transfer funds available to you is 0. Crotone. They play at the very tiny Ezio Schida Stadium, just 4,000 seats. The training ground though listed as good, and that's 8 out of 20. The Verenas are in charge, Raffaele as chairman and Giovanni as general manager. If you wanted to become their manager, you would find yourself with a bank balance of £976,000 and transfer funds of £650,000. Empoli, another side that have made it a couple of times to Serie A recently. They start in CM0102 though in Serie B. The stadium is the Carlo Castellani, 20,011 can fit inside, and 12,239 of those are seated. They do though have undersoil heating already in place. Training ground and youth facilities listed as adequate, and that is 10 out of 20. They have a healthy bank balance, that's 3.65 million in there, and they're being a bit prudent, just 975,000 given to the manager. Genoa, another big side in Italy, but they find themselves in Serie B as we start. The Luigi Ferrari Stadium, 40,112 all-seater, and the training ground adequate, 11 out of 20. Again, with the finances in place, which is £2 million, but just 350,000 available to spend. I think the hierarchy of Genoa may be looking for promotion, but doing it on a little bit of a budget. Next side we find is Messina. They play in the town. They play at the Giovanni Celeste, a 25,000 all-seater stadium. Their training ground is listed as adequate, and just 6 out of 20. Finance-wise, another side with a little in the bank, 482,000, but none of that is available to the manager at game start. Modena is the next club we will look at. They play at Alberto Braglia, 14,829 all-seater stadium, and training ground adequate, 7 out of 20. Again, this is a bit of a recurring theme across the division at the moment. Everyone's around somewhere 7 to 10, so it could be a bit of an even playing field in this division. And again, another side with cash in the bank, 695,000, but the chairman is not allowing the manager to use any of it. We'll see a bit of a change here though. We go to Naples, and of course the big club Napoli. Huge stadium, the San Paolo, obviously renamed recently. 72,810 people can fit inside, and they will all get a seat when they do. The training ground listed as excellent, 17 out of 20. So they will be looking for instant promotion. One drawback though is they are very slightly in debt, £95,000 worth of debt as we start, but they will still allow you £275,000 worth of transfer funds. And to the bottom end of the table, and we're off to the island again, and we're off to Palermo. La Favorita is the stadium, 37,500 all-seater capacity. Training ground listed as 10 out of 20, so halfway there, and that's good. Finance-wise, £2.38 million worth of funds in the bank, but none of it can be used for transfer funds. Pistoiese, apologies for pronunciation to any Italians out there. The town is called Pistoria, and the stadium name is Comunale. Quite small, 15,000, but it is all seated. The training ground adequate, 9 out of 20. Finance wise, they're doing okay, £1.5 million in the bank. And transfer funds quite small, 150,000, just 10% of the full balance. We come to Reggina. They play at Oreste Granillo in Reggio Calabria. 28,000. No mention of seats or undersoil heating, anything like that. Training ground though adequate, 11 out of 20. Finance wise though, they're pretty flush. 4.65 million in the bank. £3.2 million is given to the starting manager, whether that be you or the manager already in place. Salernitana, another team, they've been kind of up and down, made it to Serie A a little bit, been and gone a few times. Stadium name Arecci in Salerno, 37,894. Again, no mention of it being standing or seated or anything like that, so I would assume it's probably all terraces. The training ground is listed as good though, 13 out of 20. Famous name in Italian football, Zdenek Semen, is in charge as the game begins. If you wanted to take on Salernitana, you'd have a challenge financially. £97,513 in the bank. Nothing available to spend. If you bear in mind that the wage bill for the squad in that first week is 160,000. So a week into the save, you'll probably be in debt if you haven't sold any season tickets. 3 to go. We land at Siena, the Artemio Franchi Stadium. 9,600 is quite a small stadium, but it is all seated, so that could be improved, I'm sure. The training ground again would need a bit of improvement. Listed as good, but just 9 out of 20. Finance wise, a few £1,000 short of £1 million, just about £3,500 short of £1 million. 950,000 available to spend. Tanana is the penultimate club. They play at the Libero Liberati in Terni. Just over 20,000 is the capacity, 20,095, and it is an all-seater stadium. Training ground and youth facilities are adequate. That's 9 out of 20. And just shy of £1 million again, listed in Tanana's bank account. But they're again being prudent, none of that will be given to the manager. And the final side in Serie B is Vicenza. The Romeo Menti is the stadium. 20,920 can fit inside. Only 13,000 would be able to get a seat though. The training ground is adequate, and that's 11 out of 20. And again, if you wanted to take on Vicenza as a bit of a challenge, Serie B, maybe getting them to the big time, and you'd have £7.19 million in the bank to do so, and £4.5 million of that would be available to you to spend if you wanted to. So that brings us to the end of Serie B. Thank you very much for staying with us. As mentioned at the start, please do subscribe to the channel for more. Like this video if you've enjoyed it. Share with people you know. And do comment, let us know what you thought of it, and whether there's any other kind of videos regarding Champ Manager 0102 that you would like to see us making. Thanks very much. See you soon.